Soul Manipulation and Otsutsuki Lens. These could be the names of the new powers that Kishimoto has planned for Boruto and Sarada. The duo was teased to have a really big role in the future of the story, possibly something related to Omnipotence, which makes the mystery of their new powers a lot more interesting. While Boruto was shown to manifest a few new abilities like the Uzuhiko and the Flying Thunder God, the new powers of Sarada are much more mysterious than that. Does she know about her mangekyo sharingan, or is she unaware of the majestic power that she has unlocked? On top of that, the newer powers of Boruto, which are apparently Jogan based, are equally intriguing. But one thing that I can say for sure is that some of their powers are gonna be connected in some way, and by the end of this video, you will find out exactly why and how. Boruto and Sarada's forthcoming alliance is something that excites all the Borusara shippers, and with the official confirmation of this ship in the recent chapters, the mysterious role that they are about to share has hyped up the whole fandom. You may have heard Mitsuki calling Boruto his son, the son who gives him a reason to live and enlightens his life as well. However, in reality, Boruto is more associated to the moon, and it's actually Sarada who represents the sun. It's not just about the shape of their eyes, but the deeper symbolism which lies in their connection to the Buddhist mythology also teases their allied role. The sun-moon analogy, which strongly resembles the duo, can be found in the Tibetan Buddhism. The sun is referred to as feminine wisdom, and the moon represents male compassion. The prajna, which is the Sanskrit term for wisdom, is described as an insightful understanding of emptiness, and this in turn explains how Sarada completely understood the feelings of loneliness that Boruto was undergoing after Omnipotence. The sudden and unexpected abandonment turned him into a lonely creature who could have become the most dangerous enemy of the shinobi world. But the light of the sun, which is in turn Sarada's efforts to ensure his safety, turned around his fate for the better. Boruto, being the personification of the moon, can be seen as the embodiment of male compassion. The moon represents skillfulness in Tantric Buddhism, which is symbolic to Boruto skillfully mastering his new powers to save the world. Judging by this statement of Sasuke, it seems like their alliance will very likely break through the curse of omnipotence. Tantric Buddhism expands on the concepts of absolute truth and relative truth, which are associated with the sun and moon respectively. Absolute truth refers to the ultimate reality of emptiness beyond concepts and duality. Relative truth refers to the everyday world of appearances, which is how things seem to us, but not how they truly are. So Sarada, being a personification of wisdom and absolute truth, hints at her role of figuring out how to fix the world from the curse of omnipotence. In other words, it's a symbolic representation of her to be the only person who is aware about the truth of his teammate. Boruto, on the other hand, represents relative truth, which is a straight reference to reality shifting. All in all, the joint role of the duo could be to unveil the reality about omnipotence and bring the world back to normal. Even the shape of her mangekyo is inspired from Yatanoka Gami, a sacred bronze mirror which literally translates to 8 mirror. They represent wisdom or honesty, and in ancient Japan they symbolize the truth. This aspect, reflecting in the ability of Sarada's mangekyo, hints at her role of diminishing the falsehood. Now that we know what their collaborative powers will eventually lead to, let's find out exactly how. Starting off with Boruto, who could use the power of Otsutsuki Lens to know what the future holds for him. The Otsutsuki Lens, or the foresight power, is an ability that Boruto involuntarily activated to see his own future back in chapter 75. There's a good amount of chance that he still has this power. After all, he made a reference to the worst possible future in the recent chapters. Now the question remains, how will this power lead to his allied role with Sarada as foreshadowed by Sasuke? Well, in the second chapter, he tells Sarada to stay alive, and many people thought he must have seen her dying with the Otsutsuki Lens. That might be why he was so concerned about her safety, but what if there is more to it? Maybe the reason he needs her to be alive is because he has seen a future where Sarada helps him in unveiling the truth of omnipotence. This is why he is ensuring her safety, cause without her help, it will be impossible to bring everything back to normal. The sun-moon analogy also hints at a similar event, with their union acting as the key to reversing omnipotence. So Boruto is gonna show his male compassion to protect his son, cause only she can relight his world again. Now the question remains, how exactly will Sarada pull it off? Well, this is where the power of mangekyo and the soul manipulation comes into play. We know the mangekyo sharingan reflects the user's deepest desire in form of abilities, and Sarada's case is really different than all of her ancestors when it comes to the awakening of this eye. Her trauma stems from the outcome of divine magic, which literally turned around the whole reality. No one in the past had awakened the mangekyo in such a unique way, so chances are her special power will be unique as well, something that we have never seen before. A power which materializes her deepest desire, which is to protect Boruto. One thing to be noted is that every jutsu is a watered down version of a shinjutsu. This means Sarada's mangekyo manifestations are in a way an imitation of omnipotence, where the wishes become reality. So it's not out of question for Sarada to have a power which would act as a nemesis for omnipotence. And this is where soul manipulation comes into play. In Hindu mythology, there is a concept called samskara, referring to the impressions left on the soul as a result of past actions, experiences and habits. This concept says that soul memories are different than physical memories, and the impressions from past lives can leave an impact on a person's present thoughts, behavior and tendencies. If we take a look at the science behind omnipotence, it's pretty clear that post-reality shifting can be considered a new life of the victims. So even though the physical memories of a person can't be changed, the soul memories that are engraved inside of him from the pre-omnipotence reality can definitely be triggered in some way. And by looking at this panel, when Sarada activated mangekyo in front of Sasuke, it could be that she manipulated his soul by empowering his faith according to her will. Sarada's desire for Sasuke to protect Boruto originated from his soul memories, which indirectly motivated him to help a traitor. This power acts as a perfect counter for omnipotence, as the spell continuously rewrites the memories of its victims to remove this concept from their mind. But when you are exposed to a power which makes you build trust on your soul memories rather than the physical ones, even the divine magic can fail. As said by Itachi, every jutsu has a weakness, and it seems like omnipotence can only be opposed by making the soul memories dominate the physical ones. If Shikamaru fails to trust Boruto like Sasuke, it will confirm the existence of such power. Moreover, it could be that at present, Sarada is unaware of this ability, and upon working on it, she might even be able to enlighten the whole world with truth by rewriting the memories that were made by omnipotence. Now that was how Boruto and Sarada's joint role can eliminate the curse of the divine magic. But what about their individual powers? Well, we have got Kidomaki on the channel today, and he has got some really interesting takes on Boruto and Sarada's new powers and abilities.
What's up guys, Kidomaki here. Now personally speaking, I've always been of the opinion that Boruto will eventually gain the power of the dead, or necromancy to be exact. This stems from my belief that this entire scenario took place due to the Jogan's ability to interact with the spiritual realm, or the Pure Lands as you know it, which by the way is very interesting since the Jogan translates to pure eye. So at face value, you can also see why people would make that connection. Now at a deeper level, this also does make sense since the sequence only took place after the Jogan activated and started to pulsate with energy. We then zoomed into the Jogan itself, which then brought us to the next scene with Boruto in this unknown dimension, again with the Jogan pulsating, something it hadn't done before. What's also interesting is that Momoshiki then asked Boruto if he could sense his presence, as if he shouldn't have been able to, which he then deduced was due to Boruto strongly inheriting the power of the Otsutsuki after seeing Boruto's Jogan, which could mean that the Jogan itself established a connection between the land of the living and the Pure Land, similar to what Obito did. Now what's also interesting to point out is that this only happened during the chakra clash between Boruto and Momoshiki, which means that their chakra was connected, similar to how Obito connected his chakra to Kakashi, which allowed him to interact with him even though he passed away. And what I also noticed is that every time Boruto activated the Jogan, it was when Boruto was in the presence of an Otsutsuki or a being or power directly tied to them, which could be Boruto's latent Otsutsuki power manifesting due to resonance, similar to the Karma Seal. With that said, we already know that Boruto is a descendant of Hagoromo and Hamura, which means that he possesses both of their chakra. This could also lead to Boruto naturally developing Hagoromo's ability to summon the dead and use their power. We actually saw this back in chapter 691 when he summoned the 13 past Hokages to the battlefield in order to use their chakra to perform his summoning jutsu. Hagoromo himself even states that he summoned them directly from the afterworld, which means the Pure Land. That too as if it was some easy feat. Mind you, he summoned them because he was low on chakra, which speaks to the amount of chakra needed to summon the dead in a similar way to how he did. After which he then easily released the jutsu and sent them back to the Pure Lands. Mind you, similar to how Obito was 100% himself and could converse with Kakashi was the same for the Gokages as well that were summoned. The obvious implication here is that if Boruto could use this unnamed ability used by Hagoromo, it's possible that he could not only use the power of the person he summons, but he could also converse with them and learn from them. This could then give us some insight on a few things that happened in the past, for example what happened to the Uzumaki clan, and maybe even discover some sealing techniques that would allow Boruto to finally be rid of Momoshiki's soul. Now as it relates to Sarada, I'm not saying that Amaterasu is completely useless, since it does have its place against the lower tiered characters who can't absorb jutsu, but that also likely means that these characters are barely relevant to the power system within Boruto. So I can't see how that would help Sarada in any way, and normally when a character gets a power up of this magnitude, with the mangekyo sharingan being the peak of a natural Uchiha not modified into oblivion, that power up should mean something and should challenge the current power structure in a meaningful way. That is actually why I decided to dig a bit deeper, and this is where I found Amonazaku, the daughter of Susanoo, the storm god. The most important ability she possesses is Heavenly Counter skill, which is basically a dark type counter whenever she's hit with a physical attack. In the actual game where she's featured, the ability is shown as her just countering any attack done to her with a dark energy attack which deals damage. Now naturally this doesn't mean that if this was Sarada's main mangekyo ability, she would receive the exact replica of this. That was never the case for the other mangekyo abilities derived from the other gods, so that likely won't be the case here as well. How I see it is that her ability would be something similar to Full Counter by Meliodas in 7 Deadly Sins, which pretty much enables its wielder to reflect attacks aimed at them back at their enemies, but with more than double the power. Therefore, the stronger the opponent's powers are, the stronger the user's power becomes. Now this does sound absolutely broken, and that's because it is. We have to realize that Sarada has no natural way of actually becoming physically on par with the top tiers of the verse, unless some unforgivable power cliffing takes place, which is also possible. So her only hope of actually being relevant to the current power system or meta is by having an ability that allows her to scale to them without being as strong physically. Her having an ability which allows her to reflect attacks, physical or chakra based powers, it doesn't matter, at twice the power would easily do this. Aside from this, I could see her having an ability to manipulate time itself, since it seems like a common theme among the members of Team 7. With that said, I'll just turn it back over to Kashikage.
So as said by Kido Maki, there is no natural way for Sarada to elevate herself to the level of Boruto and Kawaki. Some unexpected power boost needs to happen to make Sarada as broken as the main duo. There are several ways for such power scaling to take place, which includes characters like Orochimaru, Hidari and Kashin Koji. You can find out more about Sarada's powers in the right video, and if you are interested in more Boruto Sarada content, check out the left video right now. I will see you next time.